Welcome to bodalgo's first VOFAQ video, where you will find answers to frequently asked questions about the voice-over world. If you want your question to be covered in an upcoming episode, make sure you drop it in the comments below. Now, let's go straight into it. Our first question today comes from Ted McAleer. He wants to know, to normalize or not to normalize? Before we can answer this question, we need to understand what the process of normalization actually does. When you want your recording software to normalize audio, the app will first analyze the original audio to find the sample with the highest value and then determines the difference between that value and the theoretical maximum, which results in the highest volume of 0 dB. It then multiplies all values of your audio with a number that will boost the sample with the highest volume to the theoretical maximum, thus maximizing the volume of the entire recording without one single sample in the audio clipping. In other words, normalizing does nothing else than amplifying the recording to such a level that it just does not clip at its loudest section. And in my book, that's a terrible idea. If your audio chain is set up correctly, there should not be the need for any normalization in the first place. The audio will come out of your chain just as you want it to be, with the levels you want them to be. Your effect chain might consist of a noise gate, an EQ, a compressor, and makeup gain to achieve this. All those components have been developed to more or less intelligently help your audio sound great. Normalizing, on the other hand, just takes everything you throw at it and amplifies it. And that's not only your voice, that is also any background hiss, room ambience, everything. And this is never what you want, and therefore it should be something you never, ever do. If you want your audio to sound louder, then you need to adjust your audio chain, not just put a megaphone in front of your audio. And if you have difficulties in setting up your audio chain, go get professional help. There is Uncle Roy of Antland Production or VO Tech Guru Tim Tippett, among others, and they will be able to help you. And you'll find links in the description down there. Louisa Gummer wants to know, please do something on usage and why it is always relevant. Very important stuff there. When recording a job, in theory, there are two things you charge money for. One is your work in the studio, actually recording the audio. The second part is the fee you charge a client to actually use your audio. Now, in today's world, people very often just quote one price and do not differentiate between the session fee and usage, but it's important to know when this is okay and when you need to break it down. Usage becomes especially relevant for commercials. You need to know exactly where and for how long your voice will be used. The bigger the audience, the more the client has to pay. And the longer the client wants to use the audio, again, the more they have to pay. And this is usually not the case for other recordings like e-learning, corporate narration, explainer videos, and the likes, where you are paid a fixed rate no matter how long the client uses the audio or how they use it in the first place. As long as it is not a paid commercial, of course, because then the rules apply that I just outlined before. Now, how come that a client needs to pay much more for something that is used as a paid commercial, but not for other types of usage? And I think an example shows the reason best. Imagine you are the voice in the commercial of BMW. What do you think your chances are that any other car manufacturer will use your voice? Exactly, 0. If you do commercials, those commercials limit your client base in that field. Sometimes you even have to sign a non-compete clause. So you would not be allowed to work for any other company in that field. And the longer your voice is used, the longer these limits will apply. And the bigger the market your voice is used is, the bigger is the impact of those limitations. And the compensation for that is the higher rate you get for commercials. If, on the other hand, BMW uses your voice for an internal staff training, competitors wouldn't care. And there most likely won't be a non-compete clause, so no limitations for you. And this is why in today's world, most of the non-commercial jobs can be used by the clients forever. And in my book, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as it's not a commercial. As long as there is no media spending whatsoever involved. There is another area you should be aware of though, audiobooks for example. It's not uncommon to negotiate royalties on top of the session fee. This most likely will not be the case with self-published books by some passionate amateurs, but it will matter when you're dealing with a publisher of a known novel, of course. There are some rate guides out there that can help you determine the correct budget for any given voice job. GVAA has an extensive rate guide, and so has Gravy for the Brain. Again, you will find links in the description of this video. Food photographer and VO talent J. Michael Collins asks, are Lederhosen required to make the talking money? J. Michael, your lobster levels seem dangerously low. But if you have a question regarding VO, post them in the comments, and I will make sure that they are covered in future episodes of Bodalgo's VoiceOver FAQ. You can ask me about anything VO related, budgets, auditions, best practices, reads. Just drop your question in the comments. Paul Stefano writes, it seems that the amount of online casting sites has finally stabilized. Which ones would be left standing in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Now, I'm not sure if I'm qualified to answer about competitors, but who cares? But I cannot quite agree that the amount of casting websites has stabilized. We still hear about new websites to be launched and have seen some new kids on the block over the last 2 years. And from what I can see, and I could be wrong on that one, I do not think the sites that have appeared in the last 2-3 years made such a great impact. Some of them actually failed massively, and some of those I have to say rightfully so in my book. I had the feeling that some people were simply trying to fleece talents desperate enough to pay up to a 4-figure premium membership fee and ended up with basically no jobs at all to audition. And other long-standing players tried many ways to milk their talents to the max, and I've seen premium membership tiers in 5-digit levels, which is completely insane. Unfortunately, the site in question is a big player and will not be gone anytime soon, I think. Well, to sum it up, talents should be very careful where they put their money, especially with new websites. Bold claims mean nothing. You need to be able to see how many auditions come along per day, per week, per month before you get your credit card out. With Bodalgo, for example, even a basic member will always see how many jobs are a current match to your profile. So after a few weeks, you should have a very good feeling about the quantity and the quality of jobs, so you can make an educated decision whether you want to go down premium avenue. Now, the last question from today comes from Jared Bresches. Jared wants to know, do you believe that COVID has forced a positive change on the way business is done in the VO world? Or has it been flooded with new talent that's not up to par? Is there a new normal? We have seen changes in 2 ways. The number of new clients went up 40% year on year. Why? Because production chains collapsed and clients needed to find an alternative way how to produce their recordings. And online casting, not only Bodalgo, had been a real lifesaver for many production houses. At the same time, talents that have not touched online casting with a 10-foot pole are now giving the idea of P2P a second thought. P2P, pay-to-play website. And that's for same reasons. COVID closed down studios and they had to find jobs elsewhere. For bodalgo, both of those effects were positive, and on the other hand, I'm glad that bodalgo also kept a lot of people in business. Bodalgo's free remote directing and remote recording solution, Bodalgo Call, was of additional help to many production houses. Most important thing, bodalgo would like to keep the new clients long after COVID has been dealt with. And to achieve that, bodalgo will continue to offer great user experience and high production value. Now, this concludes our first episode of bodalgo's VOFAQ. If you have a question, don't be shy, post it in the comment section. I will make sure it'll be covered in one of our next videos. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe to our channel for more videos in future. Hope to see you next time. And until then, stay healthy and bye-bye.